necessarily those of Love 101 FM.
Hello and welcome to the Morning Watch on Love 101 FM. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. A special welcome to our listeners on love101.org. And if you're overseas and on the move, US listeners can access us at 712-832-8001. And if you're in the UK, 0330-332-6541, or join us via the Love 101 FM app that can be downloaded from the Google Play Store or the Apple Store. You can also join us on Love 101 FM Facebook and YouTube Live. In the first watch today, examining and evaluating the negativity towards jury duty. And in the second watch, addressing concerns about disruptions in hospital and pharmaceutical supplies. Our social media question we ask, how willing and able would you be to serve as a juror if summoned? Please share your responses on our Love 101 FM Facebook page and YouTube channel, and also on WhatsApp 876-997-3125 using the hashtag The Morning Watch. We'll share your responses later on in the program, but before all of that, here's I quote.
I quote for this morning: spread love everywhere you go. Let no one ever come to you without leaving happier. That's Mother Teresa. Good morning.
Okay. Good morning, Roshane. That's a good quote. How are you managing though with the NWC strike so far?
Well, the water pressure was a bit low yesterday, but it wasn't gone totally. Thanks be to God. I was able to get up this morning. I got up this morning and I said to myself, I'm wondering if water is in the pipe, but when I checked, it was there. So I give God thanks for that.
And you got a bath this morning.
Definitely.
I'm just thanking God for water tanks and water pumps.
Well, my neighbor, I'm gonna have to follow the footsteps of my neighbors. I have some neighbors who would have gone that route. So it's vitally important that you have that contingency plan in place.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sound interesting. Well, the first watch will be back after this break.
Definitely.
Making lemonade.
Next, Making Lemonade, Wednesday at 3 p.m.
I want you to be untouchable in this life, so I have to turn to go fix you.
You see them, nurse? You see them?
Take things easy, not a chance. Sit down right now.
Whatever father man tell you to do, no try do it.
Then Jessica, why King's your ball so? After
Making lemonade.
Missed out on past episodes? Catch up on YouTube at Fabes Entertainment. That's FABES Entertainment. And like, comment, share, and subscribe. Making Lemonade Season 2, Episode 6, Sin of the Mother, is brought to you by Jamaica Customs, Country Above Self, and Urgent Care 360 Plus Family Medicine, your family's healthcare center.
He knows my name.
Here is your opportunity to connect with someone who will listen, pray, and give guidance. It's the telephone counseling ministry of the Edgewater Baptist Church. Please call 876-220-6474. Weekdays between 8 a.m. and 9 p.m. and Sundays between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. Please talk to someone if you're finding it particularly challenging to cope during this period of global crisis. Someone is waiting for your call. Please reach out today. 876-220-6474. It's the telephone counseling ministry of the Edgewater Baptist Church.
This is a reminder that somebody cares. Endorsed by Love 101.
He knows my name.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. Jury duty. Jury duty has always played an important role in the justice system in Jamaica. Matters that are to be heard by a jury cannot proceed without jurors, which is why jurors are encouraged to report for duty when summoned. Despite all of that, there appears to be some negativity associated with the opportunity of serving as a juror. Well, this morning, to discuss these and other related issues, we have online Senator Tom Tavares Finson, President of the Senate, and Mr. Andre Earl QC, Attorney at Law. Good morning to you both.
Good morning, Dr. Toussaint. Good morning, Mr. President.
Hi, Doc. Morning to your listeners. Always a pleasure to be on your station.
Great. Good to have you both. All right, gentlemen. We're going.
This is also a Queen's Counsel, Mr. Moderator.
Yes. How could I leave that off? Okay. Good to have you both again with us. And we're going to try and hit the ground running by looking at some foundational issues before we go into the gravamen of our discussion. Beginning with you, Mr. Earl. In a nutshell, what does the Jury Duty Act state in regards to jurors and their duties in a court of law?
Well, the Jury Act provides the system whereby jurors are selected, usually from the voters list, and they are provided for the use of the courts, both the civil and criminal courts, but more so in the criminal court. In special cases, in civil cases, for example, defamation type of suit, you can request a special jury, and that special jury will sit to hear the matters. It's a part of everyone's civic duty, because it's a part of our justice system that when you have a trial by jury, you are in fact tried by a jury of your peers. That is the idea behind it. That's what underpins it. And so it's very important that your jury pool is representative of the persons who are facing the particular trial, whether it be civil or in terms of a private dispute between litigants or in the criminal domain. So the idea is to have a very wide, broad-based section of people. You don't want people who are only retired people. You don't want persons who are strictly unemployed. You want a wide cross-section of persons who can relate to the issues for determination. I should just add quickly that there is a very comprehensive list of persons who are exempt from juries.
Right, that's where I'm going.
That includes persons like Mr. President and myself, attorneys at law in actual practice,
ministers of religion,
like you, medical practitioners in actual practice, school teachers, etc. One wonders if this list could be shortened somewhat, but that is something I guess we can discuss later on.
Yeah, Senator Tavares Finson, still with us?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, right. We're still on the foundational part. We're actually trying to look on the building the foundation for the building, and I'm asking therefore,
hear what is critical for the foundation part, as you put it. Everything that Andrea said is correct, and inherent in some of what he says is the difficulty that persons like myself find with the present jury system.
Yeah, we're coming to that, We're coming to that, Senator. Come to that. But I just want you to tell us, as far as you know in your experience, how are the jurors notified and empaneled and prepared? Any idea about that?
Well, the jurors, first of all, the potential jury pool is taken from the voters list, which is part of the problem. So the country has approximately 3 million citizens of various ages on it. The voters list, I think, is approximately 1.8 million. So potential jurors are identified on the voters list, from the voters list. So right away, you run into a problem with this notion of trial by your peers. Then you have a large section of persons who are exempt. So the notion of trial by your peers is just really a fallacy. Once the persons have been picked by the registrar of the Supreme Court and identified, subpoenas are served by the police and persons are required to attend court. Once they are served, if they do not attend, there is a procedure by which they are fined. And if my memory serves me correctly, the fine is not an inordinate amount of money. So people would rather not go to court, and if in fact they are fined, they will pay the $2,000 or $1,000.
Does that show up on any record in terms of their?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Okay.
It doesn't show up on any record at all.
Okay. And you're expressing some concerns now. Please go ahead in terms of what was said earlier.
What I'm saying is that, people say, and my colleague just said it, that jury service is a part of the justice system. Increasingly, it is not a critical part of the system, because the vast majority of criminal cases, and perhaps as much as 90% of the criminal cases which are tried in Jamaica are tried by a single judge or a bench trial. Every case in the resident magistrate's court, which I think would be well over 60% of the cases which are being tried, and maybe much higher than that on a daily basis, are tried by a single judge. And those judges can impose penalties up to 8 years, 7-8 years. Then all cases in Jamaica, except for murder, which are committed with a gun, are by law tried by a single judge in camera in the gun court. So you take the resident magistrate trials, you take the gun court, and the gun court is the vast majority of Supreme Court cases, because the gun court sits continuously. All of those cases are tried by a single judge. Once you get into the Supreme Court, the cases which are presently tried by a jury, you have an option to try them by a single judge. There was no jury trial during the 2 years of COVID, and the court continued to sit with cases being tried by a single judge. So the process of jury trial, it sounds very good. It sounds nice.
Of your peers.
You are going to be tried by a jury of the peers. That's just not true. And in any event, I can tell you that if you happen to come from an inner city community in this country, the chance of you bucking up a jury of your peers is zero. Because when the list is being struck, when the jury list is being struck, the court officials who are striking this list have the opportunity to take you based on your address. And I've been practicing law in Jamaica for almost 40 years. And I have never come across a jury of your peers trying somebody from the inner city.
Interesting. Senator, we are up on a break. Hold that point. We'll be right back.
Have you subscribed to Love 101 FM's YouTube channel as yet? No money needed. You just need to type in Love 101 FM in your YouTube search, and when you get to our channel, click on the big red subscription button. It's as simple as that. You'll then see a little bell. click on it. That way, you'll know when we go live. Yup, you will be informed right away. Love 101 FM YouTube channel. All subscriptions are free, so no worries. Do it today and keep connected to love.
It's time to take your home somewhere unexpected. And at Active Home Center, it's our job to help you do just that. With our wide range of home finishes and on-trend styles, you'll find a great selection for your space. Shop tiles in different styles, contemporary bathroom fixtures, kitchen and appliances, the latest in furniture, lighting, and so much more. Visit our showroom at 84 Constant Spring Road or online at ActiveHomeCenter.com. Your one-stop shop for home finishes. Active Home Center. More savings, more choices.
Digicel. Connect with Brata. Theater Kia. Enjoy all your favorite apps and more on Jamaica's fastest network. Activate the Prime Brata bundle for as low as $175 by dialing *147 number sign from your Digicel phone or in the My Digicel app. Connect!
Alright, connect with Brata. Digicel Prime Brata. Theater Kia.
Tell me where you get the money transfer.
Alliance.
Where you get the money transfer.
Alliance.
Where you get the money transfer. Money move like a bird, like a plane, it's a blur. Money quick, money fast, money reach in a flash. This your agent no run out of cash. Pay the rent, pay the bills or buy the grocery. Make a call for the cash and pay the school fee.
Money when and where you need it. Alliance MoneyGram Money Transfer. Convenient locations island-wide. A member of the Sagicor Group.
Tell me where you get the money transfer.
Alliance.
Minister Samantha Blake presents Under the Blood album launch Friday, May 13 at 11 a.m. Witness the powerful ministry of Minister Samantha Blake live on Love 101 FM radio and on Love 101's social media platforms. That's the album launch, Under the Blood, with Minister Samantha Blake, Friday, May 13 at 11 a.m. live on the family station, Love 101.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint, and in this, the first watch, we are examining and evaluating the negativity which exists towards jury duty. And in so doing, we have online Mr. Andre Earl, QC, attorney at law, Senator Tom Tavares Finson, QC, President of the Senate. Before the break, Mr. President, you were telling us about you've never come up on a jury of our peers. How comes?
No, but look here, that whole notion of jury, first of all, initially, persons who were serving on jury in Jamaica were landed. You had to have land. Then you had to pay tax. So there's never been a situation in, I don't know of any democracy where this notion of jury by your peers really operates. But that's just a fallacy.
Okay, let me hear.
If you even say, let us rule out the social aspect of it. The mere fact that you are taking persons off of a voter's roll, right, to serve as jurors. If you happen to be in a situation, either by virtue of your religion or your moral standing in relation to particular aspects of the society, and you say, I am not going to vote, I don't choose to be on the voters list. The mere fact that if you have an issue that is to be tried by a jury, and your jurors are being taken from the voters roll, that makes it impossible for you to have a jury of your peers. But that's a theoretical matter for another time.
Let me hear Mr. Earl on that.
I agree with Mr. President, in terms of the fallacy. And part of the problem to Dr. Toussaint is that many persons who are summoned for jury duty try to get out of it.
Yes.
I can tell you of a number of instances where persons, friends, associates, acquaintances have called me and said, boy, Andre, I get this summons for jury duty.
Why?
I want to get out of it. And I always ask them why.
Yes.
It's a civic duty that you have. Why do you want to get out of it? And those are the same people who, when they follow cases through the media, complain and say, but how the jury could have come to that result? Anybody?
No, what reason they tell you, Mr. Earl? What is the reason that they give you?
Time. They don't have time for that. They can't be bothered because it takes too much time. It's a waste of their time. Sometimes it's persons who are self-employed, for example, hairdressers, and they indicate that, boy, they can't afford to give up so much time. Because, of course, the compensation, jurors are paid, but it's really a very basic standard. It's more a stipend just to help them with traveling and subsistence. But
and that big 4-letter word, fear.
I've never, none of the persons who have called me have ever expressed fear as the reason why they want to get out of it.
Wow.
And I don't know how Mr. President sees that. He practices in the criminal court, but I've never heard anybody say fear. Most of them is that they're not prepared to give up the amount of time that is involved to serve as a juror. And we have cases that go on and attorneys who ask for adjournments and so on. And so this is part of the problem.
Yes.
But there's things you can take to fix that, you know. I mean, I think, for example, one of the things we can do is to have small business protections. If you have a small business of, say, less than 10 persons, you build into the system something that says, well, you can't have more than 2 staff members at a time or more than 1 staff member at a time serving as a juror, because that could do serious damage to the small business. You can also compensate the jurors better. It's not that it's a paid job, but if somebody is really worried about how they are going to find the next meal, how they are going to feed their children, jury duty is going to be the last thing on their mind. And as Mr. President said, if you don't attend, it's a slap on the wrist. I think it's a $2,000 fine. And it's not a part of the record. Perhaps it needs to be a part of a criminal record when you don't attend and serve as a juror. And so people may take it more seriously. So there is that. There's a whole matter of the exemption list that I spoke to earlier. I think one of the things we can do is reduce the number of exemptions. If you look, it's a lot of persons and their spouses. So you have judges and their spouses, the members of the House of Representatives and their spouses, the magistrates and their spouses, and it goes on and on and on. Why the spouses? Why exempt the spouses?
Maybe the connections, but Senator Tavares Finson, you are quoted as saying that there is an urgent need for the abolition of jury trials to have cases tried more speedily. Do you still hold into that, right?
Yeah, because the truth about the matter is that most of them are not being tried by a jury anyway. And let me tell you a practical difficulty that exists. If you have 4 persons that are charged with an offense now, let us say that 4 persons are charged with the offense of murder. For you to get a hearing date for a trial by jury, do not be alarmed when I tell you that 2024 is not unusual for a case where there are multiple accused persons. 2024. Now, if there are 4 people charged, if you opt for a bench trial, that is to say a single judge trial, you ought to get a date in end of 2021 into the middle of 2020. Sorry, 2020 into the middle of 2023, perhaps towards the end of 2022. Then if you have a situation where one of the 4 persons chooses a jury trial, everybody has to go to the jury. And I think that is a problem that we have to look into. You understand what I'm saying to you?
Yeah, man.
I as of one of 4, I say, boy, I want a judge alone trial, because I can't really stay in custody for another 3 years. One of the 4 say, I'm going to go on a jury. All of us have to remain in custody. So the one person who is choosing the jury trial he pulls along the other three, and I think that is not fair. And
Stick up in, Senator. Stick up in. I want to ask Mr. Earl. Are you also advocating for the abolition of jury trials?
I am not going as far as that to advocate for the abolition of jury trials. I know and understand the position, the sentiment expressed by Mr. President and others at the criminal bar in relation to that. And I also know that there is a view from the Chief Justice, the Honorable Chief Justice, that there is not much difference. You can get a fair trial by judge alone, and this notion and this belief that what is in fact happening is that because some of the judges are drawn from the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions, in other words, they are former prosecutors,
right.
There is some inherent risk,
right.
and that is a fallacy. However, there are very important reasons why someone may wish to have a jury trial. For example, you have that risk or the assessment of your guilt or innocence determined by a broader body of persons as against a single individual.
Right.
That's one of the arguments why even prosecutors, I know, Madam DPP has been heard to say publicly that she wants the continuation of jury trials. And so I can see in an appropriate case that an accused person should have the benefit of that option, whether they want to go before a single judge or this matter of the body of persons, the broader body of persons who are supposed to be more representative in the society.
Yeah.
Andre, let me ask you a question. Sorry, let me ask you a question.
Go ahead.
When the learned director of public prosecution, Paula Vanessa, says that she wants a trial by jury, what do you think she's telling you? What she's telling you is that the case requires a bit of a infusion of some amount of emotion.
Wait, what? Mr. Senator, how did you use that, Senator? How did you use that? How you reach there?
Yeah, I don't know if I can go there with you.
When a prosecutor,
and I think Madam DPP can protect herself, but I think she should take
when a prosecutor says to you, "Oh, I want a jury trial," what they are hoping to do is to infuse into that trial a level of emotion over and above the technical application of the law.
I don't know that I can go that far with you.
Let me ask you a question. Why would a prosecutor choose a jury trial? Tell me.
Well, for the same reason that I indicated earlier, that you have a broader spectrum, broader body of persons who are there now, more representative of the system and are better able to make a determination. It's one of the reasons, for example, why you go to the Supreme Court and you have a trial and you go before a single judge. When you deal with a matter that is related to, say, the Constitution or some matter for judicial review, you go before a panel of three. And one of the reasons for that is that it is felt that when you're dealing with certain matters, you get a better result when you spread it amongst other persons. And that happens, as you know, Tom, in the Court of Appeal as well.
All right, Andre, so let me ask you a question. Are you suggesting that we introduce jury trials into the gun court?
No, I'm not suggesting that.
Why?
I am saying. No. I am saying that what should happen is that the accused person, when it is, for example, especially in a matter of sexual offenses, that person should have the opportunity to say whether they want to go before a judge alone or whether they want to go before a jury of their peers.
Interesting stuff, gentlemen. Mr. President, we are out of time.
No, Tom, ask him one quick question. since the jury has so many advantages and benefits, why don't you reintroduce it into the gun court? Tell me that.
Well, I'm just indicating what I just indicated, which is that you get the person to have the choice when it is that they go before a jury of their peers, as in the sexual offenses, and see the utility. No, Tom, you can see the utility of that.
To be continued, gentlemen. Gentlemen, to be continued. To be continued, gentlemen. To be continued, gentlemen. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us. We're up on time. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Listeners, the Morning Watch will return in just a moment.
It's Love 101 FM, the family station. Apply today for DBJ Recovery Line of Credit or Go Digital Loan to help you find a way. The time by J&B Bank Small Business Loans. It is now 7:31 right here on Love 101 FM, the family station. Your inside the Morning Watch will be right back after these messages.
From generation to generation, Jamaicans have depended on J&B Bank to make the pride and joy of providing a safe place for their families possible. Now, with no processing fees and no down payment mortgage options, you can open the door to your own sweet home, a legacy to hand to your next generation. Visit jnbank.com to get pre-approved today. J&B Bank will help you find a way.
In need of security service with reasonable prices and good customer service? Contact Hummingbird Security Company Limited. We provide unarmed security, 24-hour guard dog service, and more. For information, WhatsApp 876-855-9171 or call 876-791-4765 to A Caledonia Avenue, Kingston 5. Hummingbird Security Company Limited, building a safer Jamaica. You're invited to listen to Dollars and Cents every Thursday at 8:16 a.m. We'll give you tips on how to make your money count, how to save, and how to grow your worth. It's all inside Dollars and Cents, brought to you by BPM Financial Limited, taking you higher. That's Dollars and Cents every Thursday at 8:16 a.m. on the family station, Love 101.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. Let's look at the newspapers to see what Jamaicans and others are saying and doing. In the Gleaner, Zaka report still on cabinet agenda. Also in the Gleaner, too much speeding. Father laments death of 11-year-old mowed down by car in St. James. And then daughter witnesses gunmen killing dad in cold blood. And then in the Observer, Missy 3 Duppy. St. Thomas councillor says ghosts haunt him since skull discovery at Lodge building. Interesting. And then prosecution arrests. Defense to begin no case submissions May 24. And then finally in the Observer, opposition wants direct funding for NHF. Those are some of the major stories in the newspapers today. Coming up next, we'll read some of the feedback from our social media question. How willing and able would you be to serve as a juror if summoned? Please leave a comment on our Facebook page and YouTube channel, Love 101 FM Jamaica, or WhatsApp 876-997-3125. Soon come back.
Making lemonade, making lemonade.
Next, Making Lemonade, Wednesday at 3 p.m.
I want you to be untouchable in this life, so I have to turn go fix you.
You see them, nurse? You see them?
Take things easy, not a chance. Sit down right now.
Whatever father man tell you to do, you try do it.
Then Jessica, why Kingsley a boss so? After
Making lemonade.
Missed out on past episodes? Catch up on YouTube at Fabes Entertainment. That's FABES Entertainment. And like, comment, share, and subscribe. Making Lemonade Season 2, Episode 6, Sin of the Mother, is brought to you by Jamaica Customs, Country Above Self, and Urgent Care 360 Plus Family Medicine, your family's healthcare center.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. Let's join Roshane for a look at how our Facebook, YouTube, and WhatsApp friends answered today's question. How willing and able would you be to serve as a juror if summoned? Roshane.
All right. So I'm seeing one from Andrea on Facebook. She's saying, I love to be a juror. I think they should change the selection process. And also I have a WhatsApp voice note. It's a bit lengthy. So let me see if I can play a part of it.
Good morning. I want to say something about the jury situation. And I don't like it. I feel that the country, they said it's a civic duty. It's a civic duty for you to vote and to choose who you want to lead or to govern your country. And yet still, you don't have everybody that votes. And I heard that, because I'm listening to the radio, I heard the man say $2,000 to pay. It's $10,000 if you don't turn up for duty. And I think that is unfair, because for somebody who is a dressmaker or does another menial work, they're going to come up with $10,000. And they have bills to pay if they don't want to go. And I don't think it is right to be forcing people to do things that their religion is up against. Because pastors, they don't go, as I heard you say, pastors, doctors, and teachers. But people that are of low occupation, they send there, right? And I think it's unfair. People should have a choice in this, just as though you have a choice whether you want to vote or vote not. It's a civic right, but you have a choice whether to vote or not. So you should have a choice whether you want to be a juror or not. The sentences I've heard.
Because of obedience, I would go, but I wouldn't go on my own free will. I will go because of obedience, not because of any case or anything. It's just to obey the law. I don't like it. I don't like to go in the courthouse, but I'll do it if I have to do it.
All right. So those are the responses at this time. Over to you, Dr. Toussaint.
Yeah, Roshane, we need to verify that $10,000 figure, right?
Yeah, we have to.
Yes. Yeah, okay. We want to thank those who responded. Really appreciate the responses and the interest in that question. And so we segue into the second watch. Have you noticed an unusual disruption in access to some medical deliveries? Well, the NHF has advised that there is a backlog of production and shipments of hospital and pharmaceutical supplies causing delays. Between COVID-19 shutdowns of major cities and the Russia-Ukraine war, this is anticipated to be felt globally until June. Well, to discuss these issues of concern, we have joining us Mr. Errol Green, Regional Director of SARA, and Dr. Winsome Christie, President of the Pharmaceutical Society of Jamaica. Good morning to you both.
Good morning, Dr. Toussaint. Good morning, Mr. Green.
All right. Morning again, Dr. Christie. Good to see you. Good to have you with us.
Thank you for having me.
Mr. Green, are you with us?
Good morning, Reb. Good morning to your listeners and to your team.
Yeah, good to have you with us. Mr. Green, beginning with you. Of course, for this the second watch, we are focusing on disruptions in the supply chain. However, it would be remiss of me not to ask how the disruptions in the water supply with the NWC strike has affected our hospitals and clinics.
I'm just getting updates on that to brief the permanent secretary. I understand that water came back to KPH late last night, not the usual water pressure. But yesterday we had to truck water to KPH, and I have given instructions to the parish managers and the CEOs to put arrangements in place to truck water wherever it is necessary.
Okay.
I'm getting a full update as of this morning.
All right, so we're not in dire straits. You seem to be managing.
As long as we can get the trucks to take the water, we will be able to manage. But because we do have storage at each of our facilities. I've asked for primary care as well for arrangements to be put in place to monitor the situations at the clinics, because the clinics are in the communities, and if water go in the community, then one of the first places the community members will want to look to is the clinics or the schools to help themselves. So we have not reached a stage yet where we have to curtail any activities.
Okay, great. Begin with you then, Dr. Christie. What additional background information can you give us in terms of the reported disruptions in the chain of pharmaceutical supplies?
Okay, well, I did a quick research for you for this interview. First of all, good morning, listeners, and thank you again for having me. I contacted an Indian supplier to ask him whether the Ukraine-Russia conflict would affect his delivering and manufacturing and sending to us in Jamaica. He said no. I also contacted a major European distributor of pharmaceuticals, and presently the Ukraine-Russia conflict does not affect his supply of medications. I would just like to take you through what happens with getting products to Jamaica. And I think that is really happening generally, and it's just coincidentally that we're having this Ukraine-Russia conflict. With the COVID-19 pandemic, shortages were imminent because they started to restrict supplies of certain pharmaceuticals only to their market. So, for example, in the UK, they were not allowed, it was banned to send morphine products and certain items out of the country. They had to keep it for their market. Remember, they were having a really exponential crisis with the pandemic there. During the pandemic, in Jamaica, we had shortage of morphine drugs, and that has nothing to do with expense or anything. It's the fact that those markets were told not to send to Jamaica. I'm a distributor, so I do know those things. So
what's the present situation, therefore? Based on all that you have said, do we have enough supplies in terms of pharmaceuticals in Jamaica right now?
Well, I've also contacted my local pharmacist in public and private. And in the public setting, one pharmacist told me that so far the VEN list, which is the list that is allocated to the public sector for distribution to the healthcare system, they have 95% of their drugs. There's no unusual shortage. All right. Someone in the Western region also reported that there's no unusual shortage. And for me as a private pharmacist, you have shortages of some drugs, but it's not necessarily due to the conflict, the Ukraine conflict, but it's due to some of the points that Miss Robotham had highlighted. The fact that when pharmaceutical companies sell to another company, for example, when Pfizer is taken over by someone.
Tell you what, I'm so sorry, Dr. Christie. We are up on a break. Could you just hold that thought? We'll be right back.
50 and over, get the best health plan as well as fabulous discounts. Visit ccrponline.org today or call 469-1944 and live life to the fullest. The time by CCRP is...
It is now 7:45 right here on the family station, Love 101. Stay tuned. We'll be right back after these messages.
In 2021, we were number one. If you're looking to earn more on your investments, invest in number one, Sigma Global Funds, the top performing funds in 2021. For US dollar and Jamaican dollar equity funds, we were number one. For US dollar and Jamaican dollar fixed income funds, we were number one. For US dollar and Jamaican dollar balanced funds, Sigma Global Funds was number one. Earn more on your investments. Invest in the number one funds in Jamaica, Sigma Global Funds from Sagicor Investments. Conditions apply.
The first sound they make is to simply let the world know they're here. And then it's our duty to help them show the world why they're here in the first place.
Give them every advantage with the Guardian Achiever, a plan that provides for their educational dreams and protects their health and life in the process. For more information, call 888-4LIFE to speak to an advisor or visit myguardiangroup.com.
I'm advice I don't know Lali shot and tally. I have a message to everyone. Get back, sit, hey, tourism the main driver of the local economy. It provides us with job, feed the country. So everybody in the industry, get the job and come follow me. It don't hurt, do the dirt. Link the nurse cause the vaccine work. Get back, sit, get. This is a message from the Ministry of Tourism. Get back, sit, just get vaccinated. Sit, you're deaf?
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint, and in the second half of the second watch, we are addressing possible concerns about disruptions in hospital and pharmaceutical supplies. In so doing, we have online Mr. Errol Green, Regional Director of SERA, and Dr. Winsome Christie, President of the Pharmaceutical Society of Jamaica. Before the break, Dr. Christie, you're telling us about NHF and all of that and how all of this corresponds.
Right, yes. Thank you again. Yes, so when pharmaceuticals undergo restructuring, for example, you hear, oh, Pfizer's been taken over by this person or that. In Jamaica, it affects the regulatory process. That site now has to be re-registered with the Ministry of Health because the Ministry of Health has a heavy responsibility. They have to ensure that every product that comes to us is not counterfeit. So if a product gets a new labeling, if there's a change of the site of the manufacturer, any change, it then becomes a new product and has to be re-registered with the Ministry of Health. And that might take some time. Also, if a product is discontinued, for example, Ms. Robotham mentioned Baralgin drops and also the tool. I contacted a manufacturer in the UK who supplies it normally. And they said, well, what happens now is it's not available from the regular manufacturer. It's regular, if they can obtain it from another market, but it's not going to have English labeling.
Oh.
So therefore, that's going to be an issue because the requirement for bringing product into Jamaica is that you need to be able to label, which goes to, you're right. So now he's trying to see if he can get it from somewhere else. So you understand the problem. So it's not necessarily an NHF not having funding or whatever. It's a matter of now and then he pointed out to me, if he's going to get it from this other place, it's going to cost much more money. So whenever anything affects a product like that in Jamaica, if you're in a regulatory business, if you're a distributor, you start worrying about the price increase that's going to come. And that's why prices go up. And now when we have the Russia-Ukraine conflict, since the Indians have said, no, it's not going to affect the actual transportation or manufacturing, it's now a matter of the increased oil pricing that would affect freight charges, which again now is going to affect the price of drugs. So
back to price, back to price.
So really, it's more of a price issue sometimes, and then supply and demand. Remember when there was chikungunya that came around? Panadol, paracetamol, acetaminophen, those things were in high demand. And so we had a little challenge in supplying the market, but overall we ended up covering it because we had our local distributors who just ramped up manufacturing. But then you can imagine now if you had to get that from overseas, the delay. So those are the issues that affect.
Yeah, thank you. We have to break there. Mr. Green, what's happening in the hospitals in regards to the
as far as the pharmaceuticals and the supplies go, we are experiencing some shortage, which has been confirmed by the NHF several times over the past few weeks or so. And what the NHF has done, and I can't speak for them, what they've told us is that they're looking at alternative markets. But our doctors within our hospitals, within Sarah and elsewhere, confirmed by doctors in the West as well, is that there is a shortage of some items, some sundries. I know that there's a global shortage of BCG vaccines and other vaccines as well. You know, these are not items that are brought in by pharmacies. I think the government of Jamaica is the only institution in this country that bring in BCG vaccine. You know, so I'm not so sure that the doctor who is on the representing the pharmacy could speak with any authority on matters such as those. But we are experiencing some shortages of some things, and what we have to do is that we have had to look at alternative sources, and where NHS cannot provide the sundries and the items that we need, we source them on the open market.
If I may respond, Mr. Dr. Toussaint.
Yes, please go ahead.
I was not trying to speak about anything in terms of saying which things are out. I was trying to just explain how shortages may occur and the fact that the Ukraine-Russia situation is not really affecting our supply per se. It's other issues.
As has been reported.
Right. I actually contacted Indian suppliers who said that. I thought it would be best to ask them.
Not according to the NHS.
Rather than making
that's my concern with what Mr. Green is now saying. That is it so that NHF is saying something different?
No, I'm not attacking NHF. In fact, the sundries that they're referring to, pharmaceuticals don't really come from China. So the NHF is quite right. The sundries that the doctors are referring to, the sutures and other things would be short. I'm not saying they're not. I'm just trying to explain how pharmaceuticals become short. That is what I was trying to do.
All right, fair enough. Mr. Green.
But I was understanding the good doctor to say that there is no shortage or the war in Ukraine would not have affected the supplies coming to Jamaica. And that has not been my understanding or my experience.
Right, because I contacted the UK.
Wait a while, Dr. Chris.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, Mr. Green.
That has been my experience, and that has been documented by the National Health Fund, for whom I get majority of the supplies that I would need. You know, we have logistical issues. A lot of the stuff is manufactured in China. The biggest port in China was closed down for, I think, 2 weeks. That would have affected items coming out. We would have seen drastic price increases in a number of things. In fact, the Honorable Minister of Health, during his presentation last week to Parliament, mentioned one item, paracetamol, that has been increased by hundreds of percentage points, you know, just over the past 2 years or so. You know, so naturally, this is going to affect our ability to carry out our services and to get the things that we need in order to provide the level of service that we would want to provide.
Could it be, Mr. Green, that it is when it comes on to the supplies to the hospitals and clinics that we're having the concerns and the disruptions even further?
Well, as I said before, Rev, what we do is that anything the NHF cannot provide that is on the VEN list, we try and source it wherever we can source it from. And we do have difficulty sometimes, even sourcing it from the persons who can order it and bring it in 24 hours or 48 hours. We do have difficulties sometimes even in sourcing those things.
Okay. Doc, you want to respond?
Yes. China supplies the sundries, the sutures, etc. We don't. Well, most of the pharmaceuticals do not come from China. So China closing down does not affect pharmaceuticals.
Right.
Am I right, Mr. Green?
You'd have to speak to the NHF on that.
Well, I'm telling you, sir, we do not really obtain a lot of pharmaceuticals from China. We obtain most pharmaceuticals because the companies, Merck, Sharp, all these people have shifted a lot of their manufacturing sites to India, Pakistan, and other places. You also have manufacturing sites in Mexico, Guatemala, and other areas. I am a distributor, sir, and so that is why I can speak with a little authority on these matters as it relates to pharmaceuticals.
Let me ask.
The
I'm sorry.
sutures the doctors are speaking about have not. We don't really. I don't really deal with, or most pharmaceuticals companies don't really. I'm talking about the pharmaceuticals. I'm not speaking about sutures and the other items that the doctors are indeed experiencing shortages with, and were experiencing shortages during COVID, the PPEs and all of those. I am not speaking to those, sir, which tend to be manufactured in China. The pharmaceuticals are located in manufacturing sites, India, USA, UK, Guatemala, Mexico, etc. Those are what I was speaking to. I was not trying to rebut anything that NHF said. I was just trying to explain how shortages come about and how the expenses impact us, and the fact that the Ukraine-Russia crisis has not really impacted our supplies.
Okay.
I've spoken to the Indians and the Europeans about it.
Right. Mr. Green, we have to wrap up now. We have about 2 minutes. What are your suggestions then to patients, persons going to the clinics, persons who have prescriptions?
Suggestions for patients going to the clinics and who have prescriptions. Again, as I said, we at Sierra and the other regions, we will source wherever we can to ensure that we have adequate supplies to carry out the services that we would want. And the fact is, we do have experienced some shortages. The good doctor is speaking to pharmaceuticals. I'm speaking to everything. I'm speaking to sundries. I'm speaking to everything. There's a global shortage. But when you draw the blood from patients, you have different color tops that for different purposes. There are global shortage on that. So I mean, if she can find the source for us, I'm sure NHF would welcome that. But
so what do we do? What should we do? What should we do? The public.
We'll just continue. We do the best we can to provide, as we always do. You know, I can't tell people not to show up. I can't tell people not to go to the pharmacy to try and fill a prescription. You know, again, my role in this is really limited because the NHF is the agency that is charged with bringing in most of these pharmaceuticals and sundries. You know, and I know that they are doing their best. They have a plan of action. They are buying futures. They are forecasting. They are sending to their suppliers their forecast for the next year. They are looking at alternative markets. So the matter is being managed to mitigate against any further disruption. But the fact of the matter is we are experiencing a bump in the road right now.
Yeah. All right. Final word, Ms. Christie. Half a minute.
Yes.
Dr. Christie.
The medical doctors are experiencing shortage in their sundries. This has been going on for a while now, but it's now compounded. And that is due to the fact that the China places have been shut down, as Mrs. Robotham had said. At present, I've spoken to pharmacists in the public sector who have said they are not experiencing any unusual shortages. Remember, in Jamaica, we always have shortages, you know, but they're not experiencing. This is what they tell me in the public. I'm in the private. There are some things that have, as I explained before.
Let's leave it at that. Let's leave it at that. We're happy to hear that it's not as bad as we are hearing in some quarters. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Green, Dr. Christie. Have a productive day.
Thank you, Dr. Tutor. Thanks for
good morning again to the team.
Yeah, man. Bless you. Yeah, man. Thank you, listeners, for being with us. Join us again tomorrow as we continue to set the stage for a discussion of topical and controversial issues. We also want you to know that For information, or get copies of this program, call our production department at 876-968-9596-7. This has been the Morning Watch. Thanks to our producer, Miss Kathy Gale, and our guests. I'm Dylan Toussaint, giving a shout out to the pastor and members of the Elim Open Bible Church as I hand you back to Love in the Morning with Roshane Douglas.
Thank you, Dr. Toussaint. Have a great day now, sir.
You too, sir. Hope you get some water.
Dr. NWC.
NHF beneficiaries enrolled for diabetes can apply online for a glucometer to help manage diabetes. Visit www.nhf.org.jm. The time by the NHF is...
It is